Hi everybody, welcome to Jin's Wall Street News. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, the number of Americans claiming unemployment benefits rose from 225,000 to 242,000 in the week ending December 7th. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported Thursday that the Producer Price Index for final demand advanced 3% in November on a yearly basis, higher than expectations. The U.S. government sold 30-year bonds at 4.535%, 1.2 basis points higher than the WI level at the time of the auction. 10-year Treasury yield rises to 4.32%. For the U.S. stocks, S&P 500 fell 0.54% and the Nasdaq Composite dropped 0.66% on Thursday. Broadcom reported Thursday after the bell that the company expects $14.6 billion of revenue for the current quarter, up 22% from the previous year, in line with expectations. According to the U.S. Department of Labor, the number of Americans claiming unemployment benefits rose from 225,000 to 242,000 in the week ending December 7th. The number of Americans receiving benefits after an initial week of aid also increased from 1,871,000 to 1,886,000 in the week ending November 30th. The number of the initial jobless claims peaked at 260,000 in the week ending October 5th. Then it dropped to 213,000 in the week ending November 23rd. But it rebounded to 242,000 in the week ending December 7th. It's an alarming move. The number of the continuing jobless claims topped 1.91 million in the week ending November 9th. Then it fell to 1.87 million, but it started to rise again to 1.89 million in the week ending November 30th. We have to watch both the initial jobless claims and the continuing jobless claims very carefully every week, whether the labor market remains strong or cools down in the coming months. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported Thursday that the Producer Price Index for final demand increased 0.4% in November from a month ago, up 3% over the last 12 months, much higher than expectations of a 2.6% increase. The core PPI, excluding food and energy, moved up 2.2% in November, month-over-month, and increased 3.4% on a yearly basis. The index for final demand goods rose 0.7% in November due to prices for final demand foods jumping 3.1%. The BLS said, quote, "A quarter of the November rise in prices for final demand goods is attributable to a 54.6% jump in the index for chicken eggs. Prices for fresh and dry vegetables, fresh fruits and melons, processed poultry, non-electronic cigarettes, and residential electronic power also increased. In contrast, the index for oilseed declined 4.7%, prices for diesel fuel and for primarily basic organic chemicals also decreased," unquote. Nick Timinos, the chief economist correspondent for the Wall Street Journal, posted an X quote, "After the November PPI, forecasters have lowered their projections for core PCE inflation. They now see core PCE rising 0.13% in November, which annualizes to 1.6%. This would hold the 12-month rate at 2.8%, unquote. The US government sold $22 billion of 30-year bonds at 4.535%, 1.2 basis points higher than the WI level at the time of the auction, 4.523%. 10-year Treasury yield began to rise on Monday as copper prices increased after Chinese leaders pledged more proactive fiscal measures and moderately looser monetary policy next year. Then it rose further as the NFIB Small Business Optimism Index jumps to the highest level since June 2021. 10-year Treasury yield moved up and down as the Consumer Price Index came in line with expectations in November. Then it went up as oil prices increased after the European Union approved the 15th package of sanctions against Russia. On Thursday in the morning, the yield fell as the number of Americans claiming unemployment benefits jumped last week. Then the yield is getting higher as investors are digesting CPI and PPI number for the PCE calculation. For the US stocks, S&P 500 fell 0.54%, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average lost 0.53%. The tech-heavy Nasdaq dropped 0.66%. Shares of Tesla fell 1.57%, Alphabet stock lost 1.76%. Shares of Nvidia dropped 1.41%, and most of the US chip stocks also fell. Broadcom stock jumped about 14% in extended trading on Thursday, despite the quarterly guidance in line with expectations. The company reported $14.1 billion of quarterly revenue, up 51% from the previous year as expected. Adjusted EPS was $1.42, higher than expectations. When it comes to the current quarter guidance, the company expected $14.6 billion of revenue, up 22% on a yearly basis, in line with expectations. For the current quarter guidance, the company CEO Hak Tan said during the conference call, quote, "We expect semiconductor revenue to grow approximately 10% year-on-year to $8.1 billion. AI demand remained strong, and we expect AI revenue to grow 65% year-on-year to $3.8 billion. We expect non-AI semiconductor revenue to be down about mid-teens % year-on-year. So in total, summing this all up, we are guiding consolidated Q1 revenue to be approximately $14.6 billion, up 22% year-on-year. Okay, this is the end of today's news. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.